This video is brought to you by Sportland. Quality, integrity, and tradition.
I don't know, a while back, I'm pretty sure I had a video where we lost a motor starter, and it started with me changing the motor starter for this exhaust fan because we had another technician out. We went ahead and completed that like 2 months ago or something like that, but at the same time we told the customer we strongly recommend that they replace the exhaust fan because it was in really bad shape. It's got a vibration, has a bad power switch, like just has a lot of stuff going on. So the customer approved it, and we're here today. So we're going to be changing this exhaust fan. It's for their fryers. So let's get the top off, and we're going to get the speed checked of the fan itself, so that way we can try to get it close with the new fan. The belt is tight, I can tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tachometer right here. This tachometer is going to be put on the center of the shaft of the driven pulley, because we can adjust the speed of the driven pulley by opening and closing the motor pulley. So we want to try to match the new speed of the new exhaust fan as closely as possible to this one for air balance reasons. So now I got to get up here and get on this thing and try to find out my actual RPM. All right, so we're right at 1471. Okay, so we want to try to match the new one to 1470. And this is our motor starter right here for the fry hood. So we've got it turned off now. We're gonna go ahead and take the belt off. I don't know what size the new belts are for the new fan, but we'll take these ones out. And then we're gonna start getting power disconnected from the fan, all unhooked. Our crane is gonna lift all the way over there at that end of the building because it's the easiest. And these fans are super easy to carry. So I'm gonna get started on unhooking this thing. Got the electrical unhooked, the curb, the hinges, the safety cable, everything unhooked. We're isolated at our electrical and shut off, but I still put the wire nuts on. And then now I'm just waiting for the other technician to get here. He's got the trailer with the exhaust fan, and then we gotta wait for the crane. So I always get places early, that way I can, you know, knock things out. I get high anxiety, so it just helps me to get places early and be ready. And we've got our new fan right here ready to go. So I think what we'll do is we'll just go strap through that all the way up and then loop, and then do the same thing over here. Strap through that all the way through up, and then cinch 2 straps at the top, or not cinch, but hook 2 straps at the top. The only thing is I gotta go get some towels because this fan is clean, but I don't want to get the crane operator's straps filthy from the grease. Luckily it's cold outside, so it's not real hot sticky grease yet, but I should probably put some towels underneath his straps on the old fan. That way we're not destroying that. All right, got a crane coming up. We're just gonna set it anywhere right here, and then we'll lift over the other fan. I ended up using shackles to keep the straps off the grease, so we'll just pop these off, put them on the new fan, or the old fan, and do the same to try to keep the grease off them. So, and just like that, the old one's going down. So now I'm gonna go down, unhook, and then we're going to get the new one hooked up. All right, we've got the wire ran in, conduit ran in. It's gonna go into this box right here. I gotta tie it into the switch, and then we can start it up, check phase rotation, current draw, and the driven speed. Now, we still gotta make sure that this conduit's long enough for it to hinge, but I'm pretty sure it is. I'm all wired in, inside here, connectors, everything's good. So we are ready to fire this up and then check rotation and adjust the speed as necessary. So I have it turned off at the switch. So we're gonna reset it at the starter, and then we should be able to control it from here. And you gotta watch your eyes because stuff blows out of these. There's a lot of stuff coming out of there. I'm gonna turn it off. We're gonna verify rotation. Rotation is incorrect. It's going the wrong way, so it wasn't color to color. But that's fine, that's why we check things. So we're gonna reach down to the bottom because there was something bouncing around. We're gonna make sure we get that out, and then I'm gonna reverse rotation over at the motor starter. All right, here we go again. Should be going in a clockwise rotation. And it is. So that's the right direction, okay? So we're good on that. We got the little, it was an electrical fitting on there. We're allowed to run 4.3, 4.2 amps right where we're at. So we're probably gonna be slowing this down, but now I'm gonna get the tachometer on there. Now there's already a piece of reflective tape, so I can use reflective side. All right, well, it's there. It's within 100 CFM. That it's really hard to get it on camera, but we are good. We ended up adjusting it a little bit. Now we're gonna work on the hinges. We gotta get these hinges up. Now they're probably gonna start cooking right now, so we're just gonna leave it running, and then we'll get the hinges all put together. Trying out the hinges, making sure everything's good. Okay, it hinges, electrical's long enough, nice and secure, everything's good. All right, we're gonna put it back down and we should be good to go. We are still running under current, so we're good, right at 4.1. Yeah, that's it. We're gonna just take some pictures, clean up our messes, and they are good to cook now. So now, the only fan that's old, well, main fan is this one, and this one's still in decent shape, so we'll keep an eye on it. But we've changed this one. We've changed this one. They need to clean them though because they're all vibrating a little bit. But yeah, we are good to go. Grease traps on, all is well.
I'm not married to any one particular exhaust fan manufacturer's brand, okay? You may see me use a Cook fan at one restaurant, a Captive Air fan at another, a Greenheck fan here. Who knows, some other ILG, that's another one that I use. What I try to do as much as possible is go back with a like-for-like replacement. I find that it creates less headaches, okay? If I was to convert this to a Captive Air, I'd need a curb adapter. It just adds a little bit more complexity. Is it the end of the world? No, you can do it, but I'm not a huge fan of curb adapters if you don't need them, okay? When you use curb adapters, oftentimes you start to have grease leaks, you have grease buildup in weird places, and I just prefer not to unless we have to. So I try to go back with like-for-like fans. Greenheck still makes that exact fan. I was able to order the identical one, just the newer updated model that has plenty of room for the new motors. The old fan had a short stack inside there, and the motor was a very inefficient motor, and you can't get those motors anymore. So when you try to replace it with the new replacement motor, the motor's too tall, and it's just a headache, right? So I try to go back with, whatever was there, as long as there's not any weird, massively stupid engineering problems, okay? You notice too, Greenheck has been doing really good. They have their super hinge replacer whatever thing, right? So I would use that super hinge from Omni Containment on a lot of fans, and Greenheck saw that, and other people doing it too, and they decided to come up with their own version. And to be honest with you, it's working pretty darn good. So still use the super hinge on other manufacturers' fans, but those super hinges last forever. We installed hundreds of them years ago. We're talking 15, 16 years ago across an entire restaurant chain. And they're still there. We're still using them. We replace the fans and we just clean up the hinge and bolt it to the new fan. They last forever. But regardless, I really like that Greenheck came up with that. But like I started this with, I'm not married to one particular brand. There's certain things that Greenheck does that I'm not a fan of. There's certain things that Captive Air, Cook, whatever it may be, does that I'm not a huge fan of. And all exhaust fan manufacturers are really trying to push away from belt-driven fans, which I'm not a fan of that. I prefer power transmission. I prefer pulleys and belts. And the reason why is because it's difficult to source the OEM-specific motors in direct drive. Oftentimes, United Refrigeration, RSD, Allied Refrigeration, the normal HVACR supply houses, the biggest ones, right? They don't stock Greenheck direct drive motors. They don't stock Captive Air direct drive motors. They don't stock Cook direct drive motors. So you end up having to go to the manufacturers, and that's usually a day out. On this particular fan, because it has a belt-driven motor, I can go source that motor at any one of my supply houses in an emergency situation. Now, I realize there's good and bad to belt-driven fans. I realize that belt-driven fans have more wear and tear. You have to replace belts, 6 months to a year. Pulleys don't get lined up, all that stuff. Bearings go bad. It leads to more costs for the customer, but in the long run, it's easier to maintain them and take care of them, in my opinion. Now, others may talk differently, and that's fine. But when you start throwing variable frequency drives on the exhaust fans or speed controllers, you know, they're inside the fan or they have to be located downstairs in the electrical room. There's a lot of complexity that goes into putting a VFD on a fan. Something as simple as if you have a variable frequency drive, let's just say on this Green Heck exhaust fan, if we had a variable frequency drive on it, where are you going to put that variable frequency drive? You're going to put it in the makeup air unit where the motor starters are? Well, the VFD doesn't do too well in a non-ventilated place. It needs air. And best case scenario, it has clean conditioned air, right? There's not a lot of dust and buildup for the heat sink to build up and the cooling fans to go bad on, right? But not only that, the safety switch that's in the exhaust fan, you need to have an interlock switch in there so that way, or an auxiliary switch, so that way when you turn the safety switch off, it sends a signal to the VFD to power down the VFD, because you don't want that VFD still outputting full voltage, but you have it off at the safety switch, the fan stops, then you turn it on, that can cause problems in the VFD. So there's a lot of different things that you got to do. Now, if you have a brand new restaurant, sure, we can set it up. Perfect case scenario, the restaurants let us stock motors at each individual location, right? That would be a smart thing to do, but that all comes down to cost. So there's a lot of complexity in everything I just explained, and that's why I just prefer to go back with belt-driven fans as much as possible. Throw a belt on there, leave a spare in there, and call it a day. But that's just my 2 cents on the matter, right? To each their own. You do it differently, it's all good, right? I really appreciate you guys making it to the end of the video. As usual, I try my best to show you guys my thought process when I'm installing this stuff. You know, I don't film every single aspect of my work. You know, I don't have GoPros set up all over the place. I don't wear a GoPro on my head. You know, a lot of people ask me why I don't have a chest mount or a head mount GoPro. Because it adds complexity. GoPros are very unreliable in my opinion. I've had GoPros and there's nothing worse than leaving a GoPro up there and then it overheats and you didn't realize it, and then next thing you know, half your footage is gone on a video that you thought was going to be great. The cool thing about a phone, my phone overheats too, but I'm usually holding it so I know when it overheats. So I know, oh shoot, I just lost that last 5 minutes of that clip or whatever it may be. The other thing is on a phone, I keep my clips small. So my video footage, I have a ton of clips. So that way, if there's something compromised, it's not an entire 5 to 10 minute segment. It's a short, 2-minute segment. So it's like, okay, I might be able to make something work in editing, but that's a whole, you may or may not even want to know that. That's just the complexities behind the video stuff. So I try my best to share what I think is the most important stuff, checking the speed of the fan before and after, making sure we're under current, making sure everything's safe, being logical, and being efficient, right? So again, thank you so very much for making it to the end. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. A couple different ways to support the channel if you want to do so. The easiest way to support this channel is literally watch the videos from beginning to end. That is the easiest way, okay? You can also support the channel financially via PayPal, Patreon, or YouTube channel memberships. So for instance, Patreon. What it is people choose to make a monthly commitment. Patreon charges their credit card, whatever they choose to donate to the channel, essentially. And it's as easy as that. YouTube has their own thing called channel memberships, and then PayPal is just a donation if you want to do it. Some people ask about that. There's a couple other ways you can support the channel by going to my website, hvacrvideos.com. We have merchandise available, hats, beanies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, all that good stuff. The sweatshirts are on clearance right now because we're trying to clear out inventory on those. So we just basically marked them down to below cost just to try to move them out the door. And last but not least, you can go to TrueTechTools.com. If you like anything that you see in my video, unfortunately, TrueTech Tools does not have the tachometer that I used. And in fact, I'm not a huge fan of that tachometer. A lot of people ask me, what's my favorite tachometer? It's definitely not that Reed one that I'm using. I'm going to probably throw that thing away because it's a piece of junk, okay? But TrueTech Tools has a good majority of the tools that I use in my videos on a daily available there, and I have an affiliate code / discount code set up with them. If you use my affiliate code, big picture, one word, okay, you will get an 8% discount on majority of the items on their website, and when you do that, I get a small commission from that too. So you get a discount, I get a small commission. It's just another great way to help support the channel. There's a few things the discount code doesn't apply to on their website, but you guys can go check it out. You'll see what I mean. Again, TrueTechTools.com. I really appreciate you making it to the end. Thank you so very much. We will catch you on the next one.